Hey guys. All right, I'm gonna wait about another minute. It's about a minute till. Happy Friday! I hope you guys are doing well. All right, it looks like it's about 12 o'clock. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to Friday Yoga. I'm glad you made it today. Whether you're watching this live or doing it later, I'm glad that you're doing it. Yoga is so good for your body. So we're going to start today in Child's Pose. So come onto your mat or come into your space. Take your knees out wide. Sit your hips back. You can fold your arms under your head, or you can stretch your arms out and rest your head on the floor. So let's begin by closing our eyes and breathing in through our nose and out through our nose. And start to notice where you feel your breath moving in your body. So if it's mostly in your chest, see if you can expand your breath a little deeper into your belly. And just take another 2 or 3 breaths here, really trying to expand your breaths as deeply as possible. And then with your next inhale, let's just lift up to tabletop. So slide your hands under your shoulders, tuck your knees a little bit closer, rest the tops of your feet on the floor. And we'll move the spine through a few rounds of cows and cats. So as you inhale, tuck your toes under to stretch the bottoms of your feet. Draw your belly down, bring your gaze forward, coming to cow. And then as you exhale, flatten out your feet, curl your chin to your chest, press your spine up toward the ceiling, coming into cat. So let's do a few rounds, inhaling to cow and exhaling to cat. And take your time on these. So really go slowly, feel the stretches in your back, coordinate the movement with your breath. So using the entire inhale to draw the belly down, bring the gaze forward, and the entire exhale to press the spine up toward the ceiling. And pausing in between the two, those spaces between your breaths. When you're not inhaling or exhaling, pausing in the stretch. And we'll make this the last one, so one more full inhale. And one more full exhale. And then just come back to a neutral position. From here, we're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the floor, and step up to downward facing dog. Pedal your legs a few times here. Keep the knees bent as much as you need to be comfortable, especially if your hamstrings are tight this morning. Just getting a little movement in the legs. Make this your last full breath here. So another big inhale and long exhale. And then we're going to walk the hands backwards. So bend the knees to walk the hands back to the back of your mat and come straight into ragdoll. So take opposite elbows with your hands. Soften your knees as much as you need to and let your upper body really hang heavy. So the arms are heavy, the head is heavy. And so you'll feel a stretch in the backs of the legs, but you can determine how much you're going to stretch by how deeply you bend your knees. The more you bend your knees, the more the hamstrings can rest, and the less of a stretch you'll get. So really try to moderate that and find the stretch that feels right for you. So gentle stretching always. Take another full breath here. And at the end of your exhale, just release your elbows, walk yourself back out to plank. So we're going to come all the way out to a plank position. Hands are directly under the shoulders, kneecaps are turning toward the floor. Reach your tailbone towards your heels. Push into your hands and make your arms really strong, like you're pushing the floor away. Stay for another breath here. And then as you exhale, drop your knees, take your knees a little wide, sit back in child's pose, and we're going to bend the right elbow in a cactus position, so 90 degrees on that right elbow. Turn and look to your right hand, and then start to inch your left fingers up toward the top of your mat. So as those left fingers get taller on the mat, you'll feel that giant stretch in your left side. Pull back through the tailbone, but reach through the fingers. Take a big breath into the left side of your body. As you exhale, let it all go. And then we're going to switch sides. So we'll extend the right arm up, bend the left elbow, turn and look to the left hand, and then start to inch the right fingers taller. Draw back through the tailbone. Feel that stretch in the right side. And take a big belly breath. And then drag the right hand down. We're going to lift our way back up to tabletop, stack the hands under the shoulders, tuck the knees under the hips again, and we'll just do a short set of cat-cows. So one more time, releasing the back. Inhale as you tuck the toes under, bring the gaze forward. Reach your heart forward. And then as you exhale, flatten your feet, curl your chin, curl your hips, and press your heart up like you're pushing it through your shoulder blades. Inhale, coming into cow. And exhale, pressing into cat. Let's just do two more on your breath. Inhale. And exhale. One more time on your breath. Inhale. And exhale. And then we'll meet back in that neutral position. Tuck your toes under, lift back up into downward facing dog. Maybe pedal the legs again a few times. Or if you want to just hold the stretch, it would also be okay just to find stillness. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. Tuck your elbows in toward your head. Bend the knees as much as you need to, and just take one more breath here. And then we'll make that same transition to ragdoll. So bend your knees, walk your hands back, reach up and take opposite elbows. Let your head hang, let your arms hang, bending the knees as much as you need to. And if it would feel good to sway the upper body a little bit, or maybe move the head around, feel free to take a little movement. We'll stay for 2 breaths. One more deep breath here. And at the end of your exhale, go ahead and release your hands to the floor. Walk your way back out to plank. So we're going to go straight back to that strong plank position. Make sure the hips are just a little bit lower than the shoulders. Legs are really active. So can you engage your quadriceps? The fronts of the thighs are really tight and strong. The knees are straight. The backs of the legs are lifting up toward the ceiling, but the hips are staying low. Last big breath here. As you exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Just take a breath in downward facing dog. And then at the very end of that breath, go ahead and look forward to your hands. And then this time we'll walk the hands up toward the feet up toward the hands. And either come back into ragdoll or take your big toes with your first two fingers. Finding that forward fold, knees can be soft or straight. Stay for one breath. And at the end of your exhale, release whatever you're holding. Soften your knees. Long, straight spine. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, bring your hands to your chest, coming into mountain pose. Take a breath in this standing position. Just one breath here in mountain pose. And then as you inhale again, keep your abdominals strong, keep your legs strong, sweep your arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive and fold forward. Let your hands go all the way to the floor. We'll step the right foot back to runner's lunge. So as you take that giant step back, take a quick body check. Make sure your left knee is above your ankle, and we have that perpendicular shin on the left side. Think about lifting your heart forward toward the top of your mat, and then see if you can make your right leg really strong. So the right quads are engaged, the knee is straight, the back of the thigh is lifting toward the ceiling. Stay for another breath here. And then as you exhale here, we're going to release the right knee down, untuck the toes, sweep the arms overhead, coming up to low lunge. Always okay to ease back out of that hip stretch if you need to, or drop in a little deeper. Just paying attention to the way it feels in your hips. Arms should be reaching vertical to the ceiling, elbows are straight. Gaze can be forward or slightly up. One more breath here. And then we'll come back to center. We're going to take the left hand, grab the right wrist, and lean slightly to the left side. So we're going to get a little side bend here, opening up the right rib cage again. Just take one breath. Good. And then as you inhale, come all the way back upright. Sweep the arms up. As you exhale, frame the left foot. Push the hips back to find that hamstring stretch. So the left knee might stay bent. You might be able to straighten it out. You might need to walk back and lift up to be a little more comfortable. Find that comfortable stretch in the back of the left leg and just stay for one more breath. And then go ahead and bend the left knee, shift the weight forward, tuck your right toes, lift up your right knee, and we're going to plant the hands and bring the left foot through to three-leg dog. So as the left foot reaches high, all 5 toes on that left foot facing down toward the ground. Stay for a breath. And then just float the left foot down, coming back into downward facing dog. Option to pedal the legs or find stillness. Take 2 rounds of belly breath here. Big inhales. Long exhales. And at the end of this second breath, bring your gaze forward again. As you inhale, walk your feet up. Keep a little space between your feet. Come back into forward fold, maybe coming back to big toe or back to ragdoll, or you might be able to slide your palms underneath the soles of your feet. Knees can be bent here. Let's take 2 breaths. One more belly breath. And as you exhale, release whatever you're holding. Soften your knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come all the way back up. Exhale, bring your hands to your chest. Gaze comes forward. Coming down to mountain pose. Take a breath here. So once again, always finding that strength, that strong position in your legs, that engaged abdominals. When you come back to standing, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive and fold. Tap the fingers to the floor, and on your inhale this time, step your left foot back, coming back to runner's lunge. So let your hips drop. Keep that back leg really strong. So the left quad is strong, the back of the thigh lifts up toward the ceiling. Reach your heart forward just a little bit. Stay for another breath. And then with your exhale here, go ahead and release your left knee down, untuck your toes. Sweep your arms overhead, coming up to low lunge, maybe easing out of the stretch if you need to, or dropping in a little deeper if you need to. Arms are vertical, elbows are straight. Option to lift the gaze. One more full breath. And then straighten out the spine. This time we'll take the right hand to the left wrist and lean to the right side. Getting that stretch through the left rib cage. Take a breath here. And then come back on center. Separate the hands. As you exhale, float the hands around the right foot. Start to push the hips back, finding that hamstring stretch on the right leg. So as you do that, soften the right knee if you need to. Lift up a little higher if it's feeling really intense. Drop in a little deeper if you need a little more. One more breath. And then just soften your right knee. We're going to lean the weight forward, plant the hands, pick up your left knee, and we'll swing the right leg through to three-leg dog. So 5 toes pointing toward the floor. See if you can squeeze your right glutes a little. Get really strong in the back of the leg. One more breath here. And as you exhale, just go ahead and float the right foot down, stepping back into downward facing dog. Tuck the elbows in toward the head, soften the knees as much as you need to. Stay for another breath. And as you exhale here, we're going to release the knees down to the floor, coming back into tabletop. Take your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Press into your hands so the upper body is really strong. The abdominals are engaged, and keeping all of that locked in, extend your right leg. Flex your right foot toward the floor, keeping the knee strong and straight, the quad engaged. Stretch your left arm out. Keep pressing away from the floor. So we're pushing our body weight away from the floor. Take one more breath here. And as you exhale, we're going to tap the left elbow to the right knee. So curl everything in. Try to touch those two together. Inhale, stretch all the way out. Exhale, curl in, round your spine, taking some space under the body. Inhale, reach out, and let's do one more. Exhale, curl in, and then inhale, reach out. Just stay for a breath. Point that pinky toe on the right foot down, and then float the left hand down, sweep the right leg wide, sit back in 3-point child's pose. So as you come back into child's pose, with your right leg out to the side, you might need to be a little higher up than you were in real child's pose. So if your hip is feeling tight, then just lift yourself up a little higher. We'll take 2 more full breaths here. And then once you've had those 2 breaths, lift your way back up onto your left knee. We're going to stay on the left knee and walk your way up to a kneeling position. So the right leg is extended, left knee is underneath us. Take your right hand to your right thigh. Sweep your left arm up. And before we go anywhere, make sure you draw in the belly. So the low belly is really strong. As you exhale, we're going to slide the right hand down the right leg. And once you get as far as you want to go here, pull your left shoulder back, look up past your left elbow, and think about pulling the left ribs back and pushing the right ribs forward. Take another breath, getting some rotation here in this side bend. And then on your inhale, come all the way back up to center. We're just going to take the left hand out to the left side. Reach the right arm up, come into this little side plank variation just for a breath. And then use the strength of your core to lift yourself back up to center, hands to chest. Tuck the right knee back under, drop your hands, walk your hands a little higher, tuck your toes, lift up to downward facing dog. Pedal your legs out a few times, finding neutral. Take a breath. And then again, at the end of your exhale, go ahead and release your knees down, coming back into good tabletop. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and then get active. So press into your hands, make your arms really strong, engage your abdominals, pull the belly into the spine, and then we'll reach the left leg back, point all 5 toes down toward the ground. Keep lifting away from the floor. Reach the right arm out. Notice if you started sagging toward the floor, and if you have, lift up again. Just do your best. Take a breath. And as you exhale, right elbow touches the left knee. Curl the spine. Inhale, reach out. Keep those abdominals strong. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, reach out. Let's do one more. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, reach out. Just stay for a breath. Point those 5 toes down. And then float the right hand down. Sweep the left leg wide. Sit back in 3-point child's pose. Taking that same stretch on the left hip. So remember to come down on the hands or the elbows or the chest, whatever works for you. And we'll take 2 full belly breaths here. On your next inhale, lift your way back up to tabletop. We're going to stay on the right knee, walk your way back up to kneeling, and we'll take the left hand to the top of the left thigh, sweep the right arm up, draw the belly in, and then tip sideways to the left. As you go to the left side, start to draw the right shoulder back, maybe looking up toward the ceiling. Pull the right ribs back, push the left ribs through. One more full breath. Inhale, come back up to center. We'll go ahead and plant the right hand on the floor. Reach the left arm up, just coming into this side plank variation. Keep pressing the hips up. And then strong abdominals. Inhale, come all the way back up. Hands to heart, tuck the left knee under. Walk your hands back to the mat. Back up, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and come back into downward facing dog. And take one more belly breath here. And as you exhale again, look forward to your hands. When you're ready, walk the feet between the hands, bringing the feet a little closer together. Take your hands to your shins or your thighs and come up to that half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Remember to let your head go. Soften your knees a little. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands to your chest. Bring your gaze forward. So once again, zip in the low belly so the abdominals are strong. Shift weight to your left foot. We're going to bring the right foot up to tree. So as the right foot tucks into the left calf or the ankle or the inner thigh, keep opening the right knee sideways to the right, turning your body forward toward the top of your mat. Hands can stay right at your chest, or you could take your arms overhead. Draw the shoulder blades down, work on stacking the spine. And remember, it'll always help your balance if you find something to fix your eyes on. So look at something that's not moving. Take another breath here. See if you can engage your left quadricep. So your left leg is really strong. As you exhale, bring your hands back to your chest. Bring the right knee forward, kick the heel. And we're going to go straight to warrior 3. So bring the right leg through. As you can tilt as much as you want to here. So if you tee the body, that's going to be a little more challenging for your balance. If you keep the chest a little lifted, the foot a little lower, it's going to be a little easier to balance. Once you find your balance, stretch your arms back. Stay for one more breath. And then we'll land on the ball of the right foot, coming into crescent lunge. So sweep your arms overhead, bend into the left knee, turn your hips forward, turn your shoulders forward. Your right knee can be bent or straight. Reaching the arms vertically above you. You want to sink into that left knee just a little bit more. One more breath. And then we'll do the same thing that we did in low lunge. Take your left hand to your right wrist.
And we'll lean sideways to the left, spacing out the right rib cage. Stay anchored in your legs, so legs are still strong. Stay for one more breath. And then on your inhale, come back up to center. As you exhale, we're going to reach the hands around the left foot. Swing the left leg back through three-leg dog. This time, though, let's point the left big toe and try to reach the leg a little higher, stacking the left hip over the right hip. So the hips actually turn to the left. And then once you get there, maybe try to drop the right heel closer to the floor. Take one more breath. And then square everything up. Curl your left knee into your chest. Step your left foot through, finding your way back up to runner's lunge. So if that left foot didn't come high enough, you might need to use your left hand to bring it up. You do want to stack the ankle under the knee. And this time we'll add a twist. So the right hand stays down, the left arm reaches up, turning the chest toward the left side of your mat. See if you can straighten your right knee. Stay for one more breath. And as you exhale here, two hands come down. We're going to make a quarter turn to your right, coming into wide leg forward fold. So remember to make sure the big toes are pointing forward. So we don't want duck feet, right? We want the feet pointing forward as much as possible. And so you might just have your hands on the floor. You might be able to walk your hands between your feet. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Take another breath. And then walk your hands underneath your chest. Bend your knees a little bit. Reach your hands to your hips. And then slowly, carefully, come all the way up to standing. Take your time coming up so you don't get a head rush. And once you get all the way up, flip your left foot 90 degrees to the left. So the left big toe is facing the top of your mat. Drop into that left knee. Keep the right leg strong, and the right big toe should still be pointing toward the side of your mat. So we're coming into Warrior Two. Open up the arms. Palms are facing down. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Bending as comfortably, as deeply as you can in that left knee without too much discomfort in that left hip. Take another breath. And then flip your palms forward. Look to your right hand, but bend to your left. So looking at that right thumb all the way up. You might end up with your left elbow on your thigh. You might be able to reach the left hand to the ground. But we do want to stack the right shoulder over the left shoulder. Stay for another full breath. And then as you inhale, strong legs, strong abdominals. Come back up to Warrior Two. We'll flip the left palm up and tip back to Peaceful Warrior. So the left knee is still bent, right leg is still strong. Draw the left shoulder back. Take another breath. And then inhale, come all the way back up, Warrior Two. As you exhale, two hands around the left foot. Step back to plank. Hold your plank for a breath. Push the floor away. And exhale to downward facing dog. One more big belly breath here. We're going to go up to standing one more time. So as you exhale, look forward and then take a walk. Bring the feet forward between the hands. Take your hands to your shins. Find that half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Let your head go. Soften your knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive. And exhale, bringing your hands back to your chest. Find that gazing point. Take a quiet breath in mountain pose. So just kind of letting your energy settle for a second here. And then we'll shift weight to the right foot. Bring the left foot up to tree. So remember, the lower you put your foot, the easier it's going to be to balance. So if you're struggling today, just keep the foot low. If you bring the foot up into the inner thigh, make sure you can open the left knee sideways. Turn the belly button forward. Stack your spine. Option to keep the hands here or reach the arms up. Stay for another full breath. Remember to really make that standing leg strong. So the quad on the right leg is really strong and engaged. As you exhale, hands to chest. Bring the left knee forward, kick the heel. And then we'll go to warrior three. So the left leg swings back. Find some spot on the floor to fix your eyes, and that'll help you balance a little bit. If you feel steady, reach your arms back. Strong in your left glute, maybe strong in your right leg. Last breath. And then as you exhale, we're going to land on the ball of the left foot. Sweep the arms overhead, coming back to crescent lunge. So the left heel is high. Hips are squared, shoulders are squared, and that right knee is bent as deeply as you can get it, but still be able to see that right big toe over the top of your knee. From here, let's take the right hand to the left wrist. Lean gently to the right. Take a full breath. Inhale, come back on center, separate the hands, and then exhale, take your hands around your right foot. We're going to swing the right leg through, three-leg dog, but this time let's point the right big toe, reach the right leg higher so the right hip stacks over the left hip. If the left heel is high, maybe drop the left heel a bit to stretch through that left calf. Last breath. And then square things up, tuck your right knee to your chest, step your right foot through, help that foot forward if you need to, finding runner's lunge. And we'll add the twist this time. So left hand stays down, right arm stretches up. As you turn your chest, keep that left leg strong. Keep your hips low. Take another big belly breath. And then exhale, two hands down, quarter turn to your left. Coming back to wide leg forward fold. Remember, 2 feet are facing forward. It would be okay to keep the hands here. Walk the hands between your feet, or maybe reach out and take a bind holding the ankles or the calves or the feet. Let's stay for 2 breaths. Knees can be bent. One more big breath. And then walk your hands underneath your chest. Start to lift up slowly with your knees bent. Take your hands to your hips and just lift all the way up to standing. Once you get all the way up, flip your right foot 90 degrees to the right so the big toe faces forward. Left foot is still facing the side of the mat. Tee the arms, bend into the right knee. Coming into warrior two, draw the left shoulder back. See if you can make your left leg really strong here. Stay for a breath. And then flip your palms forward. Look back to your left hand, but lean to the right. So remember, the right elbow could come to the thigh. The right hand can come to the floor. Try to stretch the left arm up. Stay for a full belly breath. And then strong legs. Inhale, rise back up, warrior two. Flip your right palm up, tip back to peaceful warrior. Still bending the right knee. One full breath here. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. And as you exhale, cartwheel your hands around the right foot. Step back to plank. Hold that plank position for a breath, pushing into the floor, lifting into the belly. And then exhale, release to downward facing dog. One more full breath here. And then again, as you exhale, we'll just drop the knees, coming back to tabletop. Hands under the shoulders. Untuck the toes so the tops of the feet are lying down on the floor. Reach your right arm out. We'll thread the needle, taking the right arm under the left. And as you get the shoulder down, the side of the head down, stretch your left arm above you so the fingertips are tapping the ground above your head. And just take 2 big belly breaths here.
And then slide your left hand down. Press into your left palm to come back up to center. And before we switch sides, let's just walk back and come up to a kneeling position. So standing on two knees, you want to make sure your knees are not touching. So when we're doing this today, you want to make sure you've got a little space between your knees. They should be about hips distance apart. And we're going to bring the hands to the hips. Tuck the toes under, so the balls of the feet are pressing into the floor. And then we're going to come into a back bend here. So I want you to think about creating a little space between your pubic bone and your navel and your sternum, and then your sternum and your chin. So all you're doing is stretching into the low belly, stretching into the mid belly, stretching into the chest. Once you get those three areas stretched out a little bit, you're in your back bend. Lift your heart up toward the ceiling and let your gaze go directly above you. Maybe your gaze can go a little bit behind you, but be careful of that neck. Take another full breath. And then on your inhale, rise back up to neutral. Untuck your toes. Drop your hands to the floor, coming back into tabletop. So we'll reverse our thread, reaching the left arm sideways to the left. Thread the needle left under right. And once you get your arm down, your shoulder down, the side of your head down, stretch your right arm up. So the right fingers are touching the floor above your head. Stay for 2 breaths. And then gently release the right hand back down. Press your way back up to center. We're going to walk back up to kneeling one more time. Bring your hands to your hips. Make sure you've got that space between your knees. Tuck your toes under. And we'll repeat that back bend. So this time, as you inhale, think about pressing your hips forward just a little bit. And once the hips are forward, stretch, 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 and you might find you can reach back and hold the backs of your thighs or the tops of your calves or the bottoms of your heels. So if you've reached back, just be sure you're not pressing too much into your low back. So if you feel a big pinching in your low back, that would be a reason to come back up, hands on hips. One more breath here. And then inhale, rise back up to neutral, untuck the toes, walk the hands back down to the floor, and we're going to lean forward and come all the way down on the belly. Prop up on your elbows. So we're going to come into Sphinx, so low supported back bend. Palms are facing down, elbows just underneath the shoulders, and then we'll get active here by pulling the elbows back toward the body and pressing the chest up toward the top of the mat. So it doesn't look like you're doing much, but you're getting a little deeper in your back bend by creating that tension between pulling the elbows back and pressing the chest forward. Stay for one more breath here. And we're going to keep the left elbow down on the floor, lean to the left, and reach for the right foot. So as you pull the right heel into your quad, you're getting a stretch, or into your glute, you're getting a stretch there on your right quad. If you can't reach your foot, if you're like, I can't get it, turn over on your left hip and take your foot behind you. So either way you're doing this, you're opening up the front of that right thigh, stretching into the quad, trying to pull the heel close to the glute, either lying on your belly or lying on your side. Take another breath here. And then gently release the right foot. Come back onto 2 elbows. And I'll give you the option to either stay here in Sphinx, just drawing the rib cage forward, pulling the elbows back, or take the hands a little wider, lift the elbows up, take a little deeper back bend by coming into seal. We're still trying to draw the ribs forward, lift the heart forward and up. One more deep breath. Exhale, release the elbows down, and we'll stay on the right elbow this time, shift to the right, reach for the left foot. Remember that option to come onto your right side. If you need that sideways stretch, just take it. Main thing is to get a release in that left quad. Take a breath or two.
Nice. And then release your left foot without flinging it. We're going to come all the way down on the chest, hands under the shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in toward the middle of the back. Zip your legs together. Point your toes, make your legs really strong and straight, and then keeping the hands down, but not pushing, we're going to lift with the strength of the back. So the head, the chest, and the toes, coming up to baby locust. And you'll know you're not using your hands if you could float your hands up and nothing changes. So either keeping the hands lightly on the floor or floating the hands above the floor. Stay for another breath here. Draw the elbows together. Point the toes and straighten the knees. And then as you exhale, release chest down, toes down. And we're going to press through table, widen the knees, and come back to child's pose. Bring your hands to prayer and reach your thumbs behind your head. So just taking this little variation on child's pose, a nice stretch for the arms, the shoulders, the chest. Stay for 3 rounds of slow belly breaths. Last big breath. Release your hands to the floor. Lift your way up through table. We're going to go back to downward dog. So lifting the knees up, lift the hips up, and then we'll reach the right foot off the floor and we'll bring the right knee up to pigeon. So as the right knee comes forward, stacking the right knee close to the right wrist, lay the left leg down. Try to touch the top of the foot and the top of the thigh down to the floor. Option to stay up. So if this is a deep stretch and you don't want to go any farther, this would always be a good pigeon to hold. You can walk onto your elbows. You can walk down to your forearms, or you can go all the way to your forehead. You just want to be careful about how much tension you're feeling in that right hip. So we'll stay for a good 3 or 4 breaths. Good long hold to release that right hip. See if you can come back to belly breathing. Expand your breath. One more big breath here. And then gently walk your way back up onto your hands. Tuck your left toes under. We're just going to transition through downward dog. So step back to down dog. Pedal the legs a few times if you need to. And we'll just change sides. So reach up your left foot. When you're ready, bring your left knee to pigeon. Find that forward fold. Trying to tuck the top of the right foot to the floor, the top of the thigh to the floor. And we'll just settle in for a few more rounds of breath. It's a great place to close your eyes. Find your breath in your body. Last full breath. And then gently walk your way back upright. Tuck your right toes under. We'll go back to one last downward facing dog. Option to pedal out the legs if you need that release. And then we're going to come up to a seated position. So either just walk up and take a seat or take a little hop. Extend your legs in front of you. Coming into Dandasana, this is staff pose. So as you're sitting up here with your legs extended in front of you, if your hamstrings are tight, you might need to bend your knees a little bit here. Just do that if you need to, but I do want you to try to stack your spine. So you do want your spine to be completely extended. So if your legs are straight, but you're here, I would much rather you bend your knees and come here with your spine really long and straight. We're going to take a forward fold. So reach forward maybe for the sides of your knees
or your calves or your ankles. And just inhale, lift your chest a little bit, and as you exhale, fold over your legs. So if your knees are deeply bent and your hamstrings are fairly tight, it may look like this, and that is okay. You're going to get a great hamstring release just by leaning over those legs. If your hamstrings are not too tight and you can straighten your knees out, lean into that stretch. Just make sure you're paying attention here. We'll take 2 more breaths. Last big breath. And then ease your way back up to seated. Bend your knees, bring your feet shoulder distance apart, big toes pointing forward. Take your hands behind you with your fingers pointing towards your toes, and we're going to lift up to reverse table. So if you've ever done a crab walk, this is a little bit like doing a crab walk. Lift your hips up, feet underneath your knees, hands underneath your shoulders. Eyes can be up on the ceiling, or you can drop your head back. Take 1 breath here, trying to keep the hips high. And then as you exhale, release, come down, take a seat. Good work. Extend your legs out straight again. Reach your arms forward, tuck your chin to your chest, curl your spine, come all the way down on your belly or on your back, and then draw your heels into your hips. So we're going to set up for bridge. As your hips and heels come closer together, make sure your big toes are pointing forward. Take your hands to the floor. Head is down, shoulder blades are down. Go ahead and spread your toes wide. So the toes are wide. There's a lot of foundation in the feet. And then we're going to lift the hips up by pressing into the feet. Once the hips are high enough, start to scoot the arms underneath the body. You might be able to clasp the hands together. Make sure you're still turning the knees forward, turning the toes forward, and take another full breath. As you exhale, move your hands out of the way, curl your spine to bring your hips back down, and then we'll extend the legs up toward the ceiling, point the toes, zip the inner thighs together again. Take your hands down by your hips, hover your hands above the floor, and then curl your chin to your chest, lift your shoulders up, and as your shoulders come up, scoop your belly down toward the ground. So no space between your back and the floor. Keeping those shoulders lifted, the fingers reaching, the chin tucking, the belly scooping. Let's see if we can drop the feet about 3 inches. Check to be sure you've still got that scoop in the belly. No space under the back. Hands are still reaching. Let's drop the feet another 3 inches. Scoop the belly, flatten the back, reach the fingers one more time, 3 inches. Scoop, flatten, exhale, release, bring your knees into your chest. Take your hands to your kneecaps and just make some circles with your knees. And circle that the other direction. Doing great, you guys. We're almost done. And then we're going to repeat our bridge. So put your feet down, point your toes forward, drop your hands, spread your toes out wide. And when you're ready, press into your feet to lift your hips, tuck your shoulder blades under. Maybe you can reach under and clasp. We'll take 2 full breaths here. Last belly breath here. And as you exhale, just curl the spine back down to the floor. Pull your knees back in, extend your legs up. Hover your hands above the floor. Curl your chin to your chest. Scoop the belly down. So your belly should be concave. It shouldn't be pushing up. It should be pulling down. No space between the back and the floor. Keep the hands reaching. And we're just going to take some scissors with the legs. So without letting your low back pop up, just scissor the legs maybe 10 times. Try to stay lifted in your shoulders, scooping in your belly. You've got time for maybe 4 or 5 more. Stay lifted, stay strong. Let's make this the last 2. 1 and 2. And then just bring the knees in, head down, shoulders down. If you like those circles, you could circle again, or you could pull the knees into the chest and rock yourself side to side. Last breath here. And then open your arms out in a T. Put your feet on the floor wider than your mat and take some windshield wipers with your knees. So just going side to side. The next time your knees go to the right, take your knees to the right and hold. If you like traction, you can prop your right heel on your left thigh. 2 shoulder blades should be resting on the floor. Look over to your left hand. And take 3 or 4 slow breaths here. And then gently slide that right heel down. When you're ready, stagger the knees a few more times, left and right, right and left. And then we'll set up on the left, so the knees go to the left. If you want traction, prop the left heel on the right thigh. Settle your shoulder blades. Look to the right, and take those slow, deep breaths. Last full breath on this side. And just release your left heel. Bring your knees to center. Extend your legs out long. Bring your arms down by your body. Tuck your shoulder blades under. Close your eyes. And let's just take a minute or two here, resting in Savasana. So it's important that you find a comfortable resting position. Your arms and legs can be as wide as you need them to be to let everything drop to the floor. So just imagine your shoulder blades are melting into the floor. Your hips are melting into the floor. Your arms and your legs are melting into the floor. And see if you can come back to belly breathing. So notice if you're breathing into your chest or your belly. And try to move your breath into your belly. And just take your next couple of breaths to start to wiggle things. Move your fingers and your toes. Maybe turn your head side to side a few times. I'm just bringing some energy and movement back into your body. When you're ready, stretch your arms up. Point your toes, give yourself a big squeeze and a stretch. And as you exhale, just fold your knees in. And take your time, either rock sideways or rock forward, come back up to seated, cross your legs. Bring your hands together at your chest, bow your head forward. And so I'll say namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you feel good all day and have a great Friday. Namaste.